Rudy, when we were on our break, you shared a story about your youth in Louisville that I'd like to have you share so that we can have it recorded. And it had something to do with my great grandmother, um, Monica Engfing, Grandma Engfing.
Yeah, well, what I remember of her, she had a old two-wheel push cart. It was a wooden contraption. And my brother Jack and I used to go up and rent it from her for 50 cents a day. And we would empty ash pits with it. And in those days, everybody had an ash pit, so it wasn't hard to find one that needed clean. But we would get 50 cents an ash pit, sometimes 75 cents of it. And some people actually had an ash pit, but they would dig down maybe 5, 6 foot, put a kind of a well under it so it held more ashes, and they'd want to pay the same 50-cent price, but by the time you cleaned it out, why, it was equivalent to 2 ash pits. But anyway, we would clean them out, and the most we ever got was maybe $1 for a big ash pit. And then we would take them and wheel it down the street, Lafarge Street, and the end of Lafarge Street was the old mine. And we would dump those ashes down that mine shaft. So it made it pretty convenient for us. But it was a good way for us to earn spending money.
And then she got a little spending money for the use of the...
Use of the cart. But finally the cart got so dilapidated and everything. And not only that, we got to the point where, well, Dad got a car and we got a trailer, and we used that to empty ash pits.
So did you dump that into the Acme mine down there on Hutchinson?
Mm-hmm.
Down off of Lafarge?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Where that lot still is today?
Uh-huh.
Yes. And see that, well, that mine actually run right up Lafarge Street. That one entry run right up Lafarge Street. A lot of those houses have sunk down along Lafarge because of that mine caving.
Did people used to throw their trash into that mine too, or was it just you kids
They
throwing the ashes?
no, they threw trash in there. In fact, us kids even used to go down there and take rocks and throw them and listen to them go down. But no, they threw trash in there. And then, like where we lived, right there on Lafarge, right in back of our house, was the garage and the house, was where our sewage went, if you remember.
Yes, I do.
And Dad had poured a slab of cement over that.
Mm-hmm.
And the pipe went in to the ground, till the pipe in the ground and went down to the mine. Well, consequently, over the years, that thing started caving, Pretty soon the cement went down the hole, and we had a big hole there, remember?
I remember the big hole.
And so anyway, they went on up the street. John Shalino next door to us, he wasn't hooked to that, but then Uncle Ham Winkler and Albert, they were hooked into the mine.
Yeah.
And they says, man, we'll never have to worry about sewer or nothing. Well, we were set, And anyway, ours caved in, so that shut us down on it. So we couldn't dump in the mine no more. But Dad says, well, we got to dig us a cesspool. So Glenn, Jack, and I got us a windlass. I don't know who we borrowed it from. But me being I was the littlest one, I had to be down in the hole, and they cranked the windlass with the bucket, I'd load the dirt in the bucket, and they'd crank it up and dump it, And we went down 34 feet, I think.
Oh, jeez, that's
And,
so long. It's
Yeah, you know, here's a little kid, 8, 9 years old down there shoveling, you know. And so I told Dad was cop in. I told him, I says, hey, I says, ask Dad how much further I got to dig, you know. Just keep digging, Glenn and Jack said. Well, pretty soon I was digging and I hit water. And I figured, well, we hit water, that's good enough, you know. So I hollered up to him, I said, hey, take me out. What for? I said, well, I'm standing in water. Just keep digging, you know. So, man, I'm digging away, you know, setting up the buckets. Pretty soon I pushed the shovel down. And that water, I was standing in water, you know, and you can imagine a little kid, you know, up to my knees in water.
scared you.
And it went just like that.
Oh my God.
And the water went. Well, I threw my legs wide like that, and I grabbed the rope, and I hollered, pull me out, you know.
So wonder you didn't go into the
I don't know what it
What'd
had.
you do? Hit the mine shaft?
Yes, it went in the mine shaft.
Oh my
And
God.
they didn't even look in there, Jack and them. They said, just keep digging. I said, pull me out, damn it. So they pulled me out, and I says, look in there. They said, where'd the water go? I says, it went in that hole. So we called Dad, and he come up. He says, okay, so now what we got to do, we got to go up the El Dorado and we get big rocks. We got big boulders and put them in that trailer. Hauled them down there. I said, Jesus, this don't make sense. I said, we dig that damn hole.
Now we gotta fill it.
Now we're filling it up with rocks, you know. He says, shut up. He says, you'll never have to worry about a sewer again. He says, we get that. So we get that all hooked up to the sewer, the house and everything. What do? The city comes up with a law that everybody's got to hook up to the sewer. We dug that dang cesspool and we never did need it.
All that work.
We didn't worry about the sides caving in on the little brother either. huh?
No,
No,
no.
no,
Now,
that's true.
now at that Acme mine, when you were dumping the ashes into that pit, how was that covered? Was that just a big
It
hole?
was just
or
a
was
hole.
Yeah.
And was it dangerous for kids playing, or?
Well, no, we just stayed away from it. You know, I mean, we played around it, but, you know,
How big was this hole? Big enough for a kid to fall into?
oh, yeah,
Can you believe?
yeah.
That was a
There-
big hole.
There wasn't, then, what the heck was that one up on the hill at Fisher's? That was the Matchless, I think.
Uh-huh.
The Matchless, you could still look down in there and see the railroad tracks.
How
Wow.
deep would that have been? 50, 100 feet?
I'd say that at least, you know.
Wow.
Well,
That was up there,
We're Packlemar's.
yeah,
Yeah.
where Pat Lamar's farm was,
Yeah.
up in there.
yeah.
Then Tony Beaupre bought
Remember the old dump that was up there too?
Mhm.
Dad took all of those pictures that what's his name?
Bill Schutz.
Bill Schutz took. And he got rid of all those pictures in the ash pit up there, in those that trash.
Did he?
Oh.
I remember doing that. I remember he got everything. Bill Schutz gave him everything, and he kept some stuff, but he didn't keep it all.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
before we go on, because I have a few more questions about the kids, I just think that it right now is a good place to talk about all the things that happened when your dad was Justice of the Peace for the community. Because think back to the 50s, we know, the streets, the sewers, the streets,
Sidewalks.
sidewalks, and all that. That all came in during that era.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, when we was kids, very few houses, they're affluent, you know, like
Affalders.
Yeah, the Nesbits
And the
them,
Nesbits,
They and
yeah.
the Steinbaugh, you know, they had electric lights and indoor
Right.
plumbing. We didn't, you know. And heck, if we had one light bulb, you know, in
Right.
each room, you know, and I mean,
Yeah.
it was about like that, you know, hanging down with a cord, you know. And the bare wires come out across the ceiling. Two of them, I can still see them. You know.
Yeah, that's how our house
It was
was.
dangerous. You know, don't laugh. I mean,
It was. That's the way it was.
It was
And,
dangerous. It really was.
yeah. And
You know what? Let's put it this way. We didn't have much, but our friends didn't have much
No.
either.
Nobody
So we
knew.
didn't know any better.
heck no.
But my story is this. We didn't have much, but my friend Dixie Elrod
Had a lot.
she had two bathrooms, indoor bathrooms, one upstairs and one downstairs. So I thought they were mighty rich people.
Me too.
Now they weren't mighty rich people, but they had two bathrooms and I had an outhouse.
That's
Yeah.
right. You know.
Yes. And I can remember Rudy, while we were gone on sneak day, Rudy put our bathtub and our stool and our sink in the bathroom. That was my coming home. I got to take a bath in the bathtub.
And so
That was 1958.
yeah, because I was going to say we got the Dionigis and the Delforge. We got our bathrooms about the same time because it was just
Right.
before I left home.
Yes.
You know,
It was,
I graduated in '59.
and it wasn't because we needed them. It was because you had to
You
have
had to have them. That's right.
Yeah, we couldn't. Yeah.
Because I remember my mother trying to figure out where she was going to get the money
That's right.
to put in the plumbing and the streets, the sidewalks, and that. You know, where was the money going to come from?
And Mom had little books that Dad had that said, Joe so-and-so paid $20 for sidewalks.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, you paid on time.
Mhm.
It's the only way you could get it done.
Yeah,
You paid on time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can remember those.
And so many people in town owed. I mean, number one, they owed for their groceries, you know.
Mhm.
Yes,
Then the sewer and that came in, so they owed for that.
yes.
And you
And when we got water, our sewer was attached onto it. And the water was it was really cheap then,
Oh,
but
yeah.
God,
But you got to remember the water. We had one spigot coming
Yeah.
in the house,
one. That's
Yes.
all we
and it
had.
was like, I mean, it was like a faucet you would have outdoors. You know,
Yeah,
it wasn't
that's-
nothing fancy.
Ours was a spigot that came in, and we had two metal tubs for doing the dishes
Right.
or whatever, you know. And then the metal tubs had the hoses on them. So then you took the hose and you emptied it into the slop bucket, and you took that outside and threw the water out. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We had that one sink in the kitchen.
Right.
We had another sink, but it wasn't hooked up.
No, it was off to the side over here.
Yeah, and it wasn't
That
hooked
was
up.
just a wash sink.
Yeah, we didn't have water to it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that
No, I
house.
put water on that.
Did you put water in it?
You bet I did.
We're going to talk about that house a little bit here. But let's go back. I just want to go back a little bit about the brothers and sisters. Did you feel like when you were growing up, did you guys have chores that you had to share? And did you feel like that was fair, the way that the chores were distributed? Or did you not have a lot? Well, you had to have chores because
We all had chores.
you had to bring in the water. If you didn't have running water, you had to bring in the wood, you had to bring in the coal, you had to do all that stuff.
Well, there wasn't nothing fair about it. I'll tell you that right now.
Rudy got stuck with it all.
Yes. But anyway, Mom, if you remember, everything was wood and coal
Yeah.
in them days. Well, we had a lean-to shed out back. Remember that, Marion?
Yes,
I
I
mean,
do.
it was huge. Now, maybe today you wouldn't think so. It was about from here to that RV out there,
Right.
and maybe about 10 foot high, but it was a slant roof, you know. Well, us kids would go down and railroad ties. They would take the old railroad ties out. We'd load them up, bring them home. Then we had sawhorses and hand saws, big old timber saws. Glenn and Jack and I would get on there and saw, you know. And we'd cut them into blocks about like that. And Mom had a stick. And she'd come out there and she'd say, okay, you keep this stick. This is how long I want them. I don't want them shorter. I don't want them longer. Well, just this size to fit in that stove. And we would go up there and we would load that thing every
Oh
summer
my
as
God,
kids.
those railroad ties are horrible.
And we would stick those things in there like toothpicks. I mean, boy, and she'd come up there and say, well, you could get some more up in here, you know. Oh, dang, I'd get so damn mad. Anyway, we
Remember, I was going to say before you go, you're lucky you're alive.
oh, that's for
Because
sure.
burning those railroad ties with that creosote and that stuff on them, I mean, you know, what did that...
That never bothered us. but
Okay.
but anyway, we'd go to work and we'd be sawing there, you know, chopping. Two of them was sawing, one was chopping, you know. And anyway, here she'd come with this dang basket. And she'd load that dang basket up with it. That woman would burn more wood. And I'd say,
because she was
so
cooking.
my brothers and I would stand there, look at her. What the hell is she doing with all that? Well, she's baking bread. Yeah, but she don't need that much water. You know, and you'd go in that house and she'd have that dang coal stove going. I mean, it was glowing cherry red, you know. But she would make 20-some loaves of bread at a clip, you know. But boy, it just galled the heck out of me to
But,
see her
you know, with everybody with us, Grandma and Grandpa Winkler were gone before I was born, but you had Grandma and Grandpa Winkler.
Mm-hmm.
You had Vonnie, and so there was 5 kids. Was Vonnie?
No Vonnie.
No Vonnie yet. Just Rose and the 3
Me,
boys.
for a long time, it was just me and Jack and Glenn.
Okay,
And then Grandma died.
Oh, then Grandma died.
Mm-hmm. And then Rose come along when we moved down to take care of Grandpa. Because Grandpa was getting kind of senile. And he wasn't washing his clothes and stuff, you know. So Mom said, we go down here. So we moved from the house up on the hill.
Johnny Bugdust's house.
Yeah, down to Grandpa Winkler's house.
On 721 Lafarge.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we wound up. You know.
Well, you lived on the hill. You lived on Capitol Hill.
Yes.
So, I don't know if I feel as sorry for you as I did.
Well,
You
know, that was
should.
Capitol Hill, if you remember.
Yes, I do remember.
But,
Where the wealthier people lived.
well, at that time, Dad was pretty well off,
Yeah.
you know, but then the Depression hit and he lost everything.
Ah, there you go.
See?
So when you moved down to the bottom,
Yeah, we was at the bottom.
yeah.
Yeah, we were at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, no, when he first started out, he was...
Well, he was pretty good at making money.
Yeah, well, he did all right. Well, he had stock when he died. I remember Bolivia.
Oh yeah, and he for some reason he thought he was going to die by accident.
Mm-hmm.
He had more life insurance policies taken out for.
Well, look at that guy that pointed the gun at him.
Oh yeah, you got to tell him about that.
First of all, tell me, how did Capitol Hill get its name? Do you know?
Have no idea.
I think because most of the people
Had capital.
had.
Yeah, well,
and
no,
they-
yeah, it's true because the Nesbits, they were further west, but right on the top of that hill was the Negris, the Dionigis, the Giannucci's,
Yeah, Giannucci's.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
The Jacos.
Jacobs, all of them. You know, they were affluent.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
they had stores and they had,
That's-
yeah. And,
That's
and
right. Alera's, you know,
Yeah.
but
So,
I interrupted a
Okay,
story
that's okay.
too, so pick up your story again.
there was something that I wanted to go back to here. When you lived up there, the story I wanted to go back to, because you mentioned about when your dad was in the service. So did he serve in World War One? During the
Yeah.
World War One? Did he go?
he was in the Marines.
Okay.
No, the war ended.
The war had ended when he went in.
Mhm.
Okay, and how long was he in? 4 years or?
I think 2 years, something like that.
And was he married at the time?
No.
No. Okay, so this was before he was married,
Right.
but after the war.
Mhm.
Okay, because I didn't know if he had served in the war
Yeah.
or not. Okay. So, what was that story you said he needed to tell, Mary?
About the life insurance.
The life. Well, we were talking about.
We
life
talked
in-
about
Oh,
that.
about the guy that put the gun to.
Yeah, you gotta tell him about this.
You know where Masoni's apartments are?
Uh huh.
Or
Would you
were?
say it where it is?
Okay, it's where the new
You know where Steinbaugh's old store was? Down on Front Street.
Where the
Not-
pavilion is.
Yeah, okay, it was south of there.
right there on the corner of
Right.
Pine and Front,
On the northeast.
Yeah.
on the northeast corner.
Excuse me. Well, anyway, there was an apartment there. And I just come home from the service. And Dad says to me, he says, I was sitting there. And he says, got a phone call. He says, come on with me. I said, where are we going? He said, I got to go down here. He says, got some trouble. A guy beating up on his wife, Mexican family. And I said, okay. So walks down there, and the entrance faced faced west. And he went up these stairs, and I come walking up behind Dad, and this guy was standing up there with his gun, pointing at Dad, talking to him in Mexican. I don't know what the heck he was saying, but anyway, his wife was behind him, and blood was all over her face. And Dad says, give me the gun. He said the guy's name. I don't remember it. And anyway, the guy wouldn't give him the gun. And he told Dad, he says, stay there. Don't come up here. And Dad says, oh, just give me the gun. He kept walking up the stairs. The guy took the gun, he pointed it like that at him and pulled the trigger, and I heard it go snap. And I thought, oh my God. You know. And Dad just kept walking. He says, give me that gun. And the guy, he was maybe almost as close as you and I are here, you know. And that guy pulled the trigger again. And the gun snapped. It didn't go off.
Fire.
So my dad reached up and grabbed the gun from the guy. Well, at that time, I think Dad could have arrested him for pointing a gun at him, you know, but he didn't. But at that time, if your husband was beating on you, if you wouldn't sign a warrant,
They wouldn't do it?
you couldn't do nothing.
Right.
You couldn't arrest him, you see. And even though you was standing there bleeding, you know, and you know
Yeah.
his fists were all bloody from your face, you know, you couldn't do nothing because she wouldn't sign a warrant. So anyway, he didn't arrest the guy, but we took the gun. So we walked down the steps, went around the corner, and right next to, what the heck was this guy?
Dangrios.
Well, Dangrio's ironworks was right in there.
Right.
We walked right around the back by the railroad track, and there were some apartments over here where Thurloways lived at that time, and right on the corner. And we walked around the back, and I took that gun and I pointed it down to the ground, and I went like that and pulled the trigger, and it fired.
Oh my God.
And so I took the dang gun. My dad was with me, and I emptied the shells out. And each one of 2 shells could see where the firing pin had hit on those shells, but they didn't go off.
I'd say there was an angel kind of hanging around.
I
that,
think so, you know.
It wasn't time for Rudy Dionigi to leave Louisville.
That's it.
They still needed him.
What
Yeah.
year would you say that was when you came home from the service?
Oh, God. It had to be 46, 47, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I imagine that he had a few great stories like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know he did. You know, he didn't tell us kids everything that went
No.
on.
Then at Hockaday's garage that we was talking about, well, and you probably remember this. There was a girl in there, and she shot herself. And shot her. No, this guy shot her. Her boyfriend shot her eye out. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And we went down there, and Dad arrested him. Yeah.
Wow.
Guy was still there with the gun. He was undecided whether he was going to finish her off or shoot himself.
Shoot
and Dad
himself,
took
huh?
the gun away from him and put him in jail.
Wow.
But
Yeah, there was, good times and bad times, and he's lucky that he's really and truly, he's lucky that he lived through some of it. And actually, Marion Dionigi is kind of a town hero.
He really is in his way, I think
Wow.
he was.
I think it was well deserved.
I can't imagine
I agree.
that we haven't had some kind of building named after him or something like that.
Well,
Well,
they
you
did
know, I
name
can-
Pioneer of the Year award. He did get that.
Did he? Oh, good.
He got that, but that's like naming a street after him. Heck, they go down, name a street after you, and then 10 years down the line, they name it after somebody else. So, but anyway, I can remember him he was dog catcher, he was a sewer manager, he run the sewer plant, he run the water plant.
Yeah,
He was on call 24 hours a day,
yeah, 7 days a
7
week.
days a week.
Yeah.
Something would go wrong with the filter, he'd run up there, he'd work all night, come home. I can remember him laying on the couch. You can remember him too. The phone would ring, he'd have to get up and go again.
Yeah.
And then I sat in on meetings, city hall meetings, where he was up for a raise, and
Didn't get it.
they wouldn't give it to him.
Yeah, they
He
would
wa-
never
he-
give him a raise.
No, he could never get a raise out of him. And there wasn't and there isn't one of them that's alive today.
Now there
The-
are two still alive.
Yeah, that would have done what he did
Yeah,
for the amount of money.
For the amount of money he was
getting.
getting.
that's true.
Because you think about it, he was a dog. I remember him being a dog catcher.
He
Yeah.
did. I mean, he did everything.
Yeah.
I remember going to the water plant with him while he washed the
Me too.
beds and cleaned the water and did all that work. And I remember him putting the chlorine in, and he got that chlorine in his lungs that
Yeah.
one time.
He would, if the filter plant wasn't big enough, at that time, the town was growing. It was maybe around 1,200 people.
Right.
The sewer plant was too small for the size of the plant. For the size of the town. And if people were watering and consuming a lot of water, well, he had to make sure that he had the right amount of chlorine in that water so he could pass the state test.
Right.
See, that water could look like chocolate milk, but if it had the right amount of chlorine in it, it was drinkable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I think it's that way today.
Yeah.
I can remember him getting
but-
up every morning. Can you? Taking a glass of water, holding it up to the window and looking at it
Yeah.
and saying, well, it looks pretty good today.
And no, it just I don't know how the heck he did it. I wouldn't have done it. In fact, I sat in some of them meetings, and I thought, man, I would tell
So and
those
so.
suckers to go.
You know.
And
And he
heck, I
never,
can remember. I worked for Moffat as an apprentice plumber, and we have a water break. This is in the middle of winter. These are dirt roads.
Oh yeah, I couldn't remember water breaks.
Yes.
That was horrible.
And we didn't have backhoes like they have now. It was pick and shovel.
Uh-huh.
And we would go down and we would take tires and burn tires to thaw the road out so that we could chip through that frozen road
Dirt.
to get down to that water break.
oh my God.
And my dad would be there right with us it would be cold, wet, freezing weather.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
the next morning, you'd be down there in that dang office, and some of them people on the city council would come down there, and want to know why he wasn't doing something else. And the poor guy had been up all night.
All night with the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you suppose his wage was? Do you know what his salary was?
I don't think it was much more than $30-some. It was very little.
30 for what?
A week.
A week.
A week, something like that. It wasn't very much.
Do you feel that of all the boys you're resembling the most?
Yes.
Well, I don't know who I resemble.
Yeah, he does.
I think.
Yeah, I think he does
Yes, you do.
resemble Daddy more than the rest of the family.
Well, I don't
And
know.
probably has more of his disposition. do you-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think he does.
No.
Yeah, he's a good guy all around.
Just
Okay.
from my childhood and seeing him and that, I that's the vibe that I get is that
Yeah.
you're very much like your father.
Yeah, he is.
You talking about personality or looks?
Well,
both.
both.
The personality.
Size.
And
Size too, yeah.
And he does everything.
Mhm.
He is a jack of, what Dad used to say, a jack of all trades, a master of none.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk just briefly because we have a lot to go through, but I want to find out who your grandparents were on both sides. I heard Winklers.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So what were their names?
Louis and Elizabeth
Winkler.
Winkler.
And that was on your
No,
mom's?
Louis and Mary.
Mary Elizabeth, wasn't it? Mary,
Mary.
Elizabeth. And Mom was named after her mom.
Okay. And what did you call them? Did you call them Grandma and Grandpa? or
Grandma
did you?
and Grandpa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of the Italians called their grandmas Noni and that type thing, but it was a Grandma and Grandpa.
Our relationship wasn't that good on the Dionigi side.
Okay.
We had Grandpa Dionigi.
Now, he was a good guy. I liked him. He was a nice little guy. Grandma,
She was a crabby little old lady.
no.
And what nationality? That's the Italian?
That's
Yes.
the
The
Italian
And the
side.
Winklers would be the German?
Germans, they were both
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, Austrian. Yeah, they were
Yeah, they didn't like to be called German.
Austrian.
So, of course, they both immigrated then. Both your sets of grandparents, did they
Yes.
both immigrate?
Yes. The Dionigi side, Grandpa Dionigi, came over here in the 1890s, right, Rudy? And he was here, he was one of the first families to move into Louisville. He was on the building when they shot the guns at the militia at
That's a heck of a mine.
the Heckler mine. He was one of the sharpshooters.
Him and,
He was one of the sharpshooters, Grandpa
Yeah.
Dionigi.
and I can't think of that other guy. He was an Italian.
No, but he was a
I'll think of his
sharpshooter.
name.
So they were here, they were the militia, or they were
Shooting at the militia. Yes.
Okay, so they were the miners.
Yes,
Okay.
shooting at the militia.
And
Okay.
this was at the long strike in 1910 to 1914?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, he was in that strike.
I see.
So that was your Grandpa Winkler?
That
Or
was
was
Grandpa
Grandpa Dionigi.
Dionigi.
Grandpa Winkler was here then too, and so
Yeah.
was Mom.
And so was Mom, yeah,
So was who?
My mother.
Your mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
were the Dionigi names? We didn't name them.
I don't remember.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
What was your Dionigi grandparents' name? What was it? What were they?
What was their names, Rudy?
Jenny,
Jenny, and she was from
Navarra,
Italy.
and Grandpa was Joseph. I got their marriage
Giuseppe,
license.
yeah.
So when they came here, of course, a lot of them came for the mining, and they knew people here. So when we discussed this a little bit before, when they came here, who were some of the people that they knew? Do you know?
Now,
Oh,
on the
really?
Winkler side, they had, Mom had an uncle that was here. What was his name?
That was Uncle Frank, Uncle Ham, and Uncle Albert.
And these were all Winklers?
These were all Winklers.
All Winklers. And then, let's see, the Heisers.
The Heisers.
Oh, you were related to the Heisers? Or
They
you,
ca- they
or
No.
you
came.
just knew 'em?
No,
Okay, okay.
They
knew
knew
'em
them from
Tony.
over there.
from over there.
Tony Heiser?
Yeah,
Tony Heiser,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
they knew them from over there.
Because we lived across the street from Tony.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to deliver papers to him.
Uh-huh.
You know, once a week he'd give me a dime because I'd put it in the fence for him.
Yeah.
I remember him walking down the street with his paper behind his back.
His pick
His paper.
Oh,
He
his
would
paper.
roll his paper behind his back
and walk, yeah.
and walk down the street. And I had a goat.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And that goat would go and watch him walk down the street. And he would chew the ends of that paper off on both sides. And that guy would still, remember, he'd still walk down the
Yeah.
street. And my dad'd say, that goat has got to go, Marion. He's got to go. And remember when he butted Dad? And that was it.
That was it.
That was the end of Mary.
That was it. My goat went. But we didn't.
You cried.
Oh, God, I cried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember you having a goat.
I
Oh,
had
yeah.
a goat. We got a goat from a guy over here at Marshall.
Hmm.
What was his name?
Gabriella.
Oh, Tony Gabriella?
So we got a goat from him. He gave Dad a goat for me.
So did you have chickens too? Or?
We
Oh,
had
yeah, with
chickens,
chickens,
and the
ducks.
goat chewed all the chickens' tails off. So you can imagine what our chickens looked like. And Mom said that was another reason he had to go. But I can remember we had chickens, we had goats, we had ducks,
Geese.
geese, bandy roosters,
Oh, yeah. Pigeons.
pigeons.
Do you remember the pigeon shoots at the Redmonds Hall?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck, what I did one time, back at the high school, we had pigeons. I caught pigeons. And Bill Schutz, G.R. Henning, and them, I don't know, Nesbitt's, and them, all the big shots. They wanted to have a trap shoot, you know. They didn't have clay pigeons. So I got these pigeons and had them in little cages. And I'd open the cage
So
and
here
the
was the
pigeon
real
would fly
thing.
out and these guys would shoot them, see. Yeah.
Did you
This-
eat them?
Well, yeah, we
Yeah,
ate them.
pigeon pie. I can
Oh, yeah.
remember my grandma
Oh, yeah,
making pigeon pie,
Mhm,
like chicken
yeah.
pot pie. you know.
Sure, we ate
Yeah.
'em. We used to go to the mines and shoot them.
Yeah.
Me and Bobby did that.
Yeah, we remember the good. We had it in the old coal stove up at Grandma's. Well, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So did you spend a lot of time? Well, I think maybe you spent time with your Dionigi. I mean, with your Winkler grandparents. Or?
He did, yes. And,
Okay.
yeah, he spent more time with them
Yeah.
because they were gone before I was born.
Oh, yeah.
So what are some of your favorite memories of them? Anything stick out?
Oh, yeah, my grandma, she was a real nice lady, you know. She was,
How big
Just-
was she, Rudy?
well, she was,
Mom's size?
no, she was tall. She was, I'd say, around 5'6", 5'7".
Was she really?
Grandpa, until he got stooped over, he was around 6 foot.
I'll be darned.
See, because you remember Uncle Otto, he was tall.
Yeah,
Uncle Frank, he was tall.
yeah,
And Uncle Louis was, about 5'10", you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Uncle Davy was about 6.
Was he 6?
Mm-hmm.
Was there a family character? You know, in your, like my Uncle Steck was our family character. Who did you have any?
Oh, we had Uncle Otto, and
Yeah, yeah.
Uncle Otto, they called him the Duke, you know. He was a bartender in San Francisco,
Yeah.
but he always bought real expensive clothes. He would dress with what they call spats in them
He was
days.
like a dandy, huh?
Yeah, and a top coat and Homburg hat with a fez, you know,
Uh-huh.
a feather duster.
Feather
In fact,
dr-
I got one of them from him yet.
Oh, do you?
And but he would. They called him the Duke, and he always wore diamond rings, you know.
And so did he bartend here in Louisville, or is that?
No, he bartended in San Francisco.
Is that where he lived?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he came home to die.
Yeah, he came home to die.
Yeah. He came home to Mom's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Marion, I know, just from us being friends through the years, of all of your crafts and all of the beautiful things you've made. Did your grandmother teach you any of your crochet or embroidery, any of that, or where did you learn all that?
Mom taught me to crochet. When I was really young, I would crochet around wash rags, washcloths. And that was something that she would let me do. And we used store string. We would go to the store and buy a ball of store string that they tied the meat wrapper papers together with, and that's what I would crochet with. And when we clean in the spring, we had these little round pulls that pulled down the shades. Do you remember those? And Mom would take and cut those all off in the spring, and we had to replace all the crocheting that we did around each one of those little rings.
Oh, the rings, yes, I remember the rings, yes.
We would replace all the crocheting around those rings. And I did the ironing. Rose did the cleaning, Fonnie did the cooking, and I did the ironing. I would never let my sister Yvonne do the ironing. She ironed my clothes once, and that was the last time.
Did you also, this is one of the summer jobs that I used to just hate, to take the feathers out of the pillows and wash the ticking. You know, you'd have to take the feathers out, wash the ticking, stuff the pillows.
We did that.
Yeah.
I've done that. In fact, I have a feather pillow that I sleep on right now that came from Grandma Dionigi's feather bed.
Oh, wow.
And I was out cleaning house one day when we were living here, and my Uncle Pete came down, and he looked at my pillows, and he says, Marion, I'll be right back. So he goes up the house, and here he comes with Grandma Dionigi's feather bed. And I had enough pillows to make 6 pillows. I still got 2 downstairs. But I have one in my bed that I sleep with every night.
How cool.
And I keep putting new ticking on it and cleaning it up all the time.
Yeah, we had them feather beds, you remember?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah. And we slept on that fold-out couch. Remember that fold-out couch in the front room? The 3 of us girls would sleep on that fold-out couch. You 3 boys would sleep in the back bedroom.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about your house, because your house was kind of set up a little bit like ours. You know, you only have 4 rooms and a lot of kids.
We did.
And so that's Lonnie and I slept in the living room with the fold-out bed.
That's what we had. Well, we had a fold-out, it was a fold-out couch, but it had a crease down the center. So it fell this way. Well, I had to sleep in the crease because I was the littlest one, and Vonnie and Rose slept on the side. You guys, and once in a while I got to sleep with you guys too. You brought me to bed with you, I remember. They would come home late at night and they would wake me up.
And you'd be in the crease and they'd feel sorry for you.
Yeah, and they'd take me to bed with them, read me stories.
That's cool.
You always had to read her a story.
Yeah.
Lucky girl. I don't know. I don't remember my brothers reading me stories.
My brothers did. I can remember
They
all.
might have.
I remember once with Jack, my tooth was loose. And we had that old buffet where the kitchen is. He set me up on that buffet and he says, let me see your tooth. And I said, no, I don't want you to see it. He let me see it, and he took it and he popped it out. And I started to cry. And then he says, you have to wash your mouth out with peroxide. Oh, gosh. That was the worst thing in the world. I never forgave him for that.
So let's talk about your house.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Your dad, I know he worked at the various things. Did he ever go into the mines, the coal mines?
Yes,
I thought that he had.
yes.
He worked at the highway.
Yeah,
the highway
highway
one.
mine. And tell her about that.
Well, Dad would never file for black lung, you know. And just before he died, Arlo Wilson come down and Charlie Porter. They both worked in the mine with Dad. And they told Mom, they said, Ring should sign up for black lung. She says he won't do it. Says make him. So anyway, Charlie and Porter and Arlo Wilson brought the papers, and Mom signed them, had Dad sign them. And I don't know whether Dad knew what he was signing or not anymore. I don't think he did, because he wasn't crazy about taking Social Security or nothing.
No, he wasn't.
And that was a no-no for him.
In that era, I mean, like my mother had to go on welfare a couple times, and let me tell you, that was just a no-no. I mean,
Yeah.
she hated it.
Yeah.
And you know.
Well, you can imagine. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it was like when she had, I think maybe twice, and when she had to go on welfare, you had to know how bad things were.
Well,
That's
this is
right.
like Dad with Social Security.
Mhm.
He thought that was the last straw.
Oh, yeah, but see, when I can remember 1935, 36 in there, I went to work and I had to sign up for Social Security when they first started it. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to sign that for that. Heck, yeah. Why should I do that? If I don't sign, they don't know I'm here, you know.
Right. And they ain't going to be taking that out of my pay.
That's right.
Yeah, you
I'll
know.
take the whole check home, you know. He says, you sign up for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when it come time for him to draw it, he didn't want to do it, you know.
It was an image thing. I mean, it was
Right.
just the thing that they just, it's like, that's saying that I couldn't do for myself. You
Yeah.
know, type
But
thing.
see, getting back to that black lung deal, the reason that Arlo and Charlie Porta wanted Dad to sign up for it was because when they had a fire at the highway mine, Dad, Arlo Wilson, and Charlie come out the air shaft. That's how they got
That's
out
how
of the
they
mine.
got out when they had the fire, huh?
Right. And if you know what the air shaft is, you know, it's a ladder, a wooden ladder.
Right.
You
And
had
you
to
just
climb
crawl up the.
with ice on it, you know, and they crawled up there. You'd go up and then climb so far, and then you had a landing, and then up so far, and then a landing, you know, come out. But all the time that you're doing this, that damn smoke and stuff's coming out.
Well, yeah.
Well, Dad passed out down at the bottom. Arlo went back and grabbed him, and him and Charlie helped him out, or Dad had died down there. And so
That-
Dad didn't get black lung because he died, but Mom got
I was
Yeah.
going to say,
it.
hopefully it came to your mother
Mhm.
then.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Mom,
did.
Mom
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, had he known, he would, you know, I don't know what he would have said. He would have said, I don't deserve it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think he'd have took it.
No, no.
But it sure helped your mom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, like our house, we had 2 bedrooms, and the front room and a dining room area and the old kitchen.
Who's this?
That's mine.
Hey, I'm going. I thought we shut ours off.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm going to shut that off for a second.
Oh.
Okay. We were discussing your house, Marion. You started to tell us about the house that you guys were raised in. Okay, tell us about the house that you were raised in, Marion.
Okay, we had 2 bedrooms. Mom and Dad were in one bedroom. The boys were in the other bedroom, the 3 boys. The girls slept in the front room on a fold-out couch. And Grandma and Grandpa Winkler, when they were there, they slept in the sun kitchen.
Mhm.
We had a kitchen, then a sun kitchen, and that's where Grandma and Grandpa Winkler slept. And then what about Uncle Davy? Did he stay with you guys too?
Yes, he was there.
He was there. So Uncle Davy was there too. And where did he sleep? He gonna sleep in the sun kitchen?
No, he slept in that same room with us. That
Bedroom.
bedroom.
He slept in the bedroom with you. Okay. And who else did we have? Gilbert came to live with us.
Gilbert came to
live with us for a while. Fergie came to live with us for a while.
Ferg, I don't remember.
Ferg said he came to live with us for a while.
Fergie
Who are these people?
Ferguson?
Yeah,
Dave?
Dave Ferguson.
Really?
Well, I don't remember that.
He said he got mad at his mom and dad and he came to live with us for a while.
I don't know about that. I know I lived with him for a while.
You did?
When you got mad?
Where did you live with him?
When they lived there, they had the house up there next to Rassie Hawkins.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you lived up there at Aunt Gert's for a while.
Yeah, used to be Grandpa Ferguson's house.
Yeah, okay.
And who's Gilbert?
Gilbert Winkler.
Gilbert was my mother's brother's son.
Okay,
Nephew. He was a nephew.
nephew. And can you remember the address of that house?
721 Lafarge.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the walls of that house, because I know about growing up in our house what they were like, the wainscoting and the dirt and that would come in when the wind blew.
Well, the walls were very thin.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking, they couldn't have been a quarter of an inch thick if they were that thick, right, Rudy?
Right.
Because when we tore out the sun kitchen, we figured why it was so cold because of that. The windows, when the wind would blow, the curtains would blow.
And the windows would move like this.
Yeah. I mean, it was
It was cold.
And
it
of
was
course,
cold.
The roads were dirt,
Yeah.
so that's what came in.
Yes.
Mom used to take a sheet, if you remember, when the wind blew, and she would drape that sheet over us, and she'd say, keep your head covered. Well, in the morning we'd wake up and you could shake the red ash.
Yeah, yeah.
You probably
Well, yeah, we used to have to wet towels
Mm-hmm.
to put in the windows and the door, along the door, because, and even with that, you'd still have that much silt.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in.
The red ash coming
Absolutely. We
in and
did.
that. And you couldn't see, when the wind was blowing bad, you could not see across the street.
No.
No.
It was,
No.
because it was so much dirt
Yeah.
blowing.
And when they were all dirt roads
Oh, yeah.
and ditches. We had deep ditches in front
Oh,
of the
you
house.
kidding.
Because when it would rain, I can remember us kids going outside and running in the ditches back and forth.
Heck, they were like irrigation ditches.
Yeah, they were deep.
It was that deep, and maybe that wide.
Yeah, yeah.
But that wasn't meant to be a ditch, it was just where the water ran.
No, that
A
instead
gully,
of
a gully.
that-
It wasn't just,
just a gutter, you know.
yeah.
It was instead of a gutter, we had ditches.
Mhm.
We didn't have any gutters.
So the water would flow down the ditches.
Yeah.
Rather than flood your
I
house. you know.
see. Now, would you explain the red ash too? Somebody say something about that?
Well, the red ash came from the mines. They what they would do is dump all the slag, they called it, or unburnable rock, you know, and scrap out of the mine, and they would dump it on this hill. And then they would this coal dirt, or whatever you want to call it, would combust. It would spontaneous combustion. It would start burning. And when it did that, it would turn red.
Yeah.
If you remember,
Yeah.
it was actually red. And
Yeah. And they
When it-
called them clinkers, didn't they?
yeah,
Call them?
and when it cooled, it was just red dirt, you know, and rock.
Yeah.
And so they would take that and they would pave the roads with it. It was cheaper than gravel, and
And it did
Sure.
cut down on the They thought it would cut down on the dust, but it didn't.
No, they didn't, not too much of the dust, Marion, it was the mud.
Yeah.
The mud, yeah.
Mhm.
To try to
'Cause
make it better for the mud.
The streets were,
Dirt.
when we was little, they were mud.
Yeah, they were.
Mhm.
Yeah. I remember one time asking Dad, the ditch was running by Dalby's store there,
Mhm.
you know.
That was
And-
deep, that
Yeah,
sucker.
and it was really deep there. And I went over to the city hall, and it was Christmas time, and I didn't have any money. So I says to Dad, "Will you give me $1?" And he says, "Sure." You know, I don't know. I had to be old enough to know better. But anyway, I went down across the street to the Mercantile and went to go to the hub. Well, I dropped my $1. And the water was coming from the
I
snow.
remember that.
Do you remember that? I dropped my $1 in that water and it was gone. And what was I going to do? Because I was going to buy Dad a tie with that $1 from the hub store for Christmas. I'll never forget that. I don't know how I got the tie, but I got a tie for
I
it.
don't know either, but I remember you crying. You come to me and you crying, told me, go in there and see if you can. But you remember there was a grate. It
Yeah.
went in that grate.
It went.
Yeah, go in there and drown Rudy trying to get that $1 back.
Well, I couldn't have got that grate off anyway, because it was cemented in.
Yeah.
But
God, I'll never forget that.
she was crying. She says, "Went in there, get in there and get it for me."
It's a lot of money.
$1 was a lot of money at
Yeah.
that time.
Did you guys have running water inside? I know we've talked about
Only-
the plumbing a bit,
Just
but
the.
just that's right, the spigot and that, yeah.
Just
And
the
then
spigot.
later on, I put in. Mom never had. She used to have to heat the water. You remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so I put in, I was working for Moffett. And we had the coal stove, and we put in what they call a waterfront. It was
Is it like a boiler or?
no, it was just a tank that went in the firebox
Oh,
of
wow.
the stove. And then it had an inlet and an outlet. You'd run the water in one end in a cold and it'd come out hot and go into this tank. You had a galvanized tank that sat behind the stove, and it would heat that water and put it into
it
that
in there.
tank. So I put that in for Mom, and she had hot water finally,
Off of her wood stove.
Off of the
the wood stove. Yes,
Yeah. That's
How,
why
how was your home heated?
it was heated with a
coal stove.
Did you
and-
have a,
coal stove
Yeah.
and a heating stove, and then Jack and I put in. I forget where. I don't know whether we got that out of the Redmond or it was an old coal furnace with a stoker. You remember what a stoker
yeah,
was?
we had, yeah. Uh-huh.
And anyway, Jack and I got this old furnace, and we put that in Dad's house, Dad and Mom's house, hooked up the stoker, and I'll never forget, on the door of the furnace, it was named Rudy.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I've often wondered,
It's still in there, Rudy.
is it?
Yes.
Okay, then, if you ever know anybody that has owns that house, go in there and ask them if you can look at that door.
I
Well,
know.
Marianne
I know.
Kalachi
Marianne
did-
Kalachi did.
yeah,
I'm
no.
going to ask her.
Yeah, because
It's still in there, Rudy.
man, I'd like to have that damn door.
Oh, I would too. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I'll ask her. I'll tell her
But
if
it-
she's not
right-
using it.
Right on the door, it said Rudy. But anyway, we hooked that up for Dad and Mom, and then we'd have to go and take the clinkers out. You remember?
I remember the clinkers.
And Dad would never take the clinkers out.
No.
They always come. Rudy, come on up and take the clinker.
He hated it. And he
or
hated
Phil the stoker.
Yeah, Phil is. Oh, I remember him cussing when he'd go down the
Oh.
steps to fill the
Yeah,
furnace.
he hated that.
He hated that more than
One
anything.
job he didn't want. Well, we're coming to the end of this tape. I was just going to ask you, because I know she made many loaves of bread on that. So what was your favorite meal that your mother prepared?
What was our favorite? I remember Sundays. Do you remember Sundays?
Yes.
We had spaghetti, and we had chicken in there, and meatballs and sausage.
Mhm.
We had a roast besides, mashed potatoes.
For little kids.
Yeah, well, no, we ate good.
No, I
We
know, that's how we
did.
did too, yeah.
We ate good, and we had chocolate cake with white frosting and cherry Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but we never, a Sunday dinner was always spaghetti.
Oh,
And that's how it was with my husband's family too. We
Mhm.
always had spaghetti.
We had spaghetti.
yeah, no matter what.
And I can remember every Sunday, especially after we got out of the service, Chuck Davis would come down, remember? Every Sunday. Ron Fenolia, every Sunday.
Yeah.
And
So it was a big,
Herb Steinbach, Glenn Steinbach.
yeah.
it was a big gathering at the Dionigi house on
Yeah,
Sundays.
and you know, this might sound funny to you, and but there was an aroma.
Well, yeah, the house smelled of a certain smell.
I mean, there was actually an aroma in.